Esty, have you made up the beds in room 8? Room 8. Good. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome. Shalom. Shalom. Yes, shalom. Yeah, welcome to the BETH Le-iNN. Yeah, nice name, isn't it? BETH Le-iNN. It's great to see you all this morning. You know, well, if you've come to stay, I'm sorry, there's no room at the inn. I was the first one to coin that phrase. Yeah, it's famous because of me. No room at the inn. Absolutely packed out. No vacancy. Sorry, go away. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Well, this is my pride and joy. This inn, you know, and me and my wife, Deborah, we run this inn, and we've been running it for a long time. And, oh, I tell you what, it's busy. It's so busy. Morning, noon and night. I never stop. You know that word business? Well, if you spell it, it's spelt busyness. Yeah, that's what business is, busyness. I bet it was an innkeeper that invented that word, yeah. Because there's so much to do, like sweeping up, cleaning up, washing up, doing everything, I don't know, serving the customers, waiting on tables, making the beds. It's a good job I got Esty, my little sister, to help us. Yeah, it's great. Great having her around. Yeah, so I blame myself. I totally blame myself, you know, because if only I had listened to the people in the synagogue, if only I'd listened when they were reading the prophets. If only I'd listened, but I didn't listen. I was too busy thinking about the hotel half the time. Too busy, too stupid. And so ended up, I missed everything. There were signs, there were clues, strange things was happening all night, and it all over my head. I didn't see any of it. I tell you what, good job Esty saw it all, or else we wouldn't have a story to tell you today. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, it all started, but going back to the beginning, it all started when Caesar Augustus, or the king of the world, as I call him, yeah, well, he is really, I suppose, he decided to have a census, that is to count everybody. Now, I would have thought he was big-headed enough, but no, he wants to count everybody to see how many people he rules over. Yeah. So, me and Mrs., we was dancing because I tell you what, this census was going to be at a very slack time of year, right? Very slack, and we would be full. We'd be so full. It'd be wonderful, you know. And it would. Tell you what, it would earn enough shekels. I don't know if it's enough, but it would earn enough, maybe, so that I could start my big project, my dream. Yeah, I've got a dream I have, is because we're full most of the time, right? There aren't many hotels in Bethlehem, and so I want to pull this place down and make it twice the size. That's my dream. Pull it down, make it twice the size. It'll be just great. It'll just be great. You know, I'll make a lot of money that way. So we thought that was great. And when the big day came, people was coming from all over the place, all over Israel, all over, even from beyond the borders, you know, coming back, because what you had to do was people had to go back to the place where they was born, see, or where their family came from, see. So people was all coming from all over the place, back to Bethlehem, back to Nazareth, back to Jerusalem, and all coming, and we had to put them up somewhere. I tell you what, we did not half work hard at putting them up. So I said to them when they arrived, I said, now look, would you as a family mind sharing a room? You know, there's only one bed, but you can share a room. And they said, oh, no. Well, yeah, I said, please. I said, okay. So they were sharing a room. Me and my missus, we moved out of our room. We was going to sleep on the kitchen floor. Esty moved out of her room. I let every room I had. I had people on the roof, under the tent on the roof, and I even had somebody in the broom cupboard. Yeah. Very short person, I'll give you that. But he was in a broom cupboard. So So it was just packed out, I tell you. And Esty was there taking the money as they was arriving, and it was all great. And my goodness, I don't think I've ever been so busy in my life, really. Don't think I've ever been so busy. And it was just wonderful watching all the people come and all the money come in, and that was great. And then halfway through the evening, when I was waiting on tables and giving people something to eat and trying to sell them as much wine as I possibly could, you know how it goes, there was a knock at the door. Well, it wasn't exactly a knock, it was like a hammering at the door. I thought, oh, goodness gracious, the neighbours are going to complain now. There's too much noise going on. It's like a party, you know. And, of course, there's parties going on all over Bethlehem because all the folks had come home. See? They'd all come home to where, you know, their family place was. And so everybody was having a big shindig, big party. It was great, family reunion. But you say, well, why didn't you go home? I'll tell you why. Because I was home. Yeah, because this is where my family comes from. Yeah. Benjamin Ben David is my name. Benjamin Ben David. And I'll tell you, I wonder if anybody will be called that in 2,000 years' time. I doubt it. But Benjamin Ben David. And you know what? I didn't have to go anywhere because I could just stay home and make money. Matuk. Hey, that's Hebrew for sweet. Matuk, it was great. And so I could just stay home. Everybody else had to clear off. And yeah, so you want to see the plans of my hotel? No, you're not interested. Okay, so there's this knock at the door. So I go to the door, and it wasn't the neighbours. It was another traveller. This guy at the door, he looked a bit stressed, to be honest. So I said, shalom. He said, have you got any rooms? I said, have I got any rooms? No, I haven't got any rooms. I wish I had rooms. I haven't got any rooms. I'm full up. I said, I'd love to say low. I'd love to say Ken, but I've got to say low. So he said, oh, please. He says, please, we've come such a long way. I said, well, look, you should have been here earlier, really, shouldn't you? I mean, come on. I mean, you know, everybody was here early because they knew there wasn't going to be any rooms. He says, yeah, but we come a long way. We come all the way from Nazareth, and the traffic in Jerusalem was terrible. And he says, and we couldn't go fast because my wife is, see, we're very private people. We don't like, you know, giving out family details. So I hadn't even noticed he had a wife, you know. I could see there was a donkey there. So I lifted up my light, and there, on the donkey was his wife. Now, she was either very fat or very pregnant. I don't know which it was. I think, well, I do know what it was now. She was pregnant. And he was saying, please. I says, look, I can't. I've got somebody in the broom cupboard, mate. So then, out from the inn comes my dog Nimshai. Nimshai comes out and she's nuzzling me like you know what dogs do, don't you? Nuzzling me, get off, nuzzling me and whining, looking up at me with them big doleful eyes like dogs do, and then she barks 3 times. Like, so what is it? You know what she was doing? She was saying, you might not have any room in your place, but I got room in mine. I think she knew something that I didn't, you know. I'm sure of it. So I says, oh yeah, Nimshai. Oh yeah, the stable. The stable. I says, I could let you have the stable. Oh, his face dropped a bit. He didn't like the sound of that. But, you know, I said, come round the back and have a look, okay? Come round. So I went around the back and opened it up. Of course, I hadn't had time to clean it out and nothing like that. It was a proper mess, you know, stinking and all. But I says, this is all I can offer you, Havar. This is it. So you either take it or leave it. He says, but look at her in her condition. I said, so he says, we are both of the line of David. I says, what do you think I am? Benjamin Ben David. I'm a line of David as well. But I'm sorry, mate, this is all you're going to get. But I'll tell you what, half price, half price. I'll just charge you 1 denarii for the room. How about that? So he says, no, all right then. I says, look, here's the lamp. I'll leave you the lamp. And I'll go in and I'll see if Esty can bring you out some grub and bring you out some blankets and all that, see. So I go, now Esty, I mean, where she found the blankets, I don't know. But she did. She found them a couple of blankets and she took them out some bread and took them out some drink, some nice warm drink, and settled them down for the night. So I didn't think, honestly, I didn't think any more about it. I didn't think anymore. I thought, you know, I was too busy looking after the people inside the inn to worry about those outside the inn. So I was in there going around table to table, chatting to the customers, you know, being all cushy-like. And so eventually they all went to bed. And so I just had to sweep the floors. I see, busy. Sweep the floors, do the washing up, make the bed on the kitchen floor. And then I just had to pop outside, you know, spend a penny before I went to bed. And as I was standing there, I saw on the hillside, on the other side of the valley, right off the other side, I saw this bright light. I thought, what's that? Must be the moon rising. But no, the moon was over there. Well, what can it, maybe it's a fire. No, it's not a fire because it's the wrong colour, you know, it's not yellow. It was white light, you know, really bright. I thought, oh, that's strange, but I'm so tired. I've got to go to bed. And so to my shame, I left it. Regretted it all my life. I just left it. I went in, climbed into bed and went off. Sound asleep. Debbie and I slept all night. Didn't wake up at all. But Esty, see, when Esty took the Mary and Joseph, when she took them out to the stable, see, when she had, I mean, she's a girl, isn't she? She knows these things. She saw, Mary wasn't just pregnant, not just very pregnant, but she was about to drop. You know, she was so Esty gave her the warm drink and a piece of bread and the blankets, and she decided to stay there with them because she knew it wouldn't be very long before they needed help. Oh yes. Probably the donkey ride that did it, you know, but anyway. So they never wise to ride a donkey in that condition. Okay, so she got, just then Mary's waters broke and Esty thought, that's it, I've got to get some help. So Esty runs off because the village midwife, she only lives 2 or 3 doors down. It was good. She was quite close, you know. So Esty runs off to get the midwife, comes back, and well, you know, it's born. But I tell you what, it was very, very quick, and not much pain, and not much screaming or anything like that. She was very, very quick, and there was, Esty said, she told me, she said there was Mary and Joseph. They couldn't take their eyes off this little chap. They was just looking at him and smiling, and then they said, they looked at each other and they said, Yeshua, Yeshua, Yeshua. Now, I know what you're thinking, his name is Jesus. Well, yeah, it might be in your lingo, but in Hebrew, it's Yeshua. And Yeshua means Saviour. See? Yeshua means Saviour. So they were looking at him and they were saying, Saviour, Saviour, our Saviour. Yeah, it was beautiful. But I didn't see it. But then Mary was getting a bit tired now, so she said, I've got to find somewhere to put the baby down so I can have a bit of shut-eye, you know. I've got to find somewhere. And so Esty thought, well, where's she going to put the baby? You know, it's a mess. It's dirty. And then she saw it. She said, I know. She said, the manger. Because the manger is the only thing in the stable that's got fresh hay in it. It's not dirty. It's fresh for the cows to eat. So she said, put him in the manger. So Mary and Joseph said, what a good idea. And so they laid him in the manger. Joseph said, go and get me my travel bag on the donkey, because there's some clothes in there, some cloth. So Esty got the cloth and they wrapped up the baby in this cloth. They brought it just in case, you know what I mean. And they put the baby, little Yeshua, in the manger, and off they went to sleep. Well, it must have been about an hour later or something like that. I don't know how long it was, but there was a bit of a scuffle outside the stable. Esty didn't go to sleep at all. She didn't sleep the whole night, but Mary and Joseph was nodding off a bit. And so Esty thought, I'll go out and see what's going on. And outside the stable was 3 ruffians. She was just about to get the dog and tell him to clear off, you know, I mean, riffraff, she thought. I mean, there was all sorts of people. Bethlehem was full up of people that night, and here's these urchins outside making trouble or something. But no, she recognised one of them. He was the same age as her. So she said, hello, Zeb, what are you doing? Lost your sheep? He says, no, I ain't lost my sheep. He said, something's happened. She said, yeah, something's happened here too. So he said, can I tell you? She says, well, yeah. He said, I don't know if you'll believe me. She says, well, try me. Go on, Zeb. So he said, well, we was over there on the south slopes across the valley watching the sheep like we do every night. And all of a sudden there was this incredible light. He says, I was blinded. He said, I never saw a light like it in my life. Right there in front of us. And we thought, what in the world is this? And then out of the light came this massive angel. Yeah, really? And Esty says, really? He said, yeah. And she said, did the angel speak to you? He says, yeah. He said, yeah. The angel said, don't be afraid. Well, it's a fine time to say that, wouldn't it? When we picked ourselves up off the floor, you know. So he said, don't be afraid. I bring you great news. It's going to make everybody really happy. And the angel said, in the city of David, in Bethlehem, is born a Saviour who is Christ the Lord. And he said, oh, that's amazing. It must be the Messiah. See, he listens in synagogue. I don't listen. It must be the Messiah, born in the city of David. And the angel then said, and you'll know it's him because he will be wrapped up in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. We looked at each other and thought, manger? What? So he said, I said to my mates, should we go and see? They said, well, we got to. The angel told us. We got to go. I said, what about a sheep? They said, well, it'll be all right for a minute. Okay, so we'll go off to Bethlehem and try to find the Messiah. So off we go into... and Esty, he said, I'll tell you what, we've looked in 10 stables. And we found several people in them, but we didn't find any babies. Is there a baby in this one? And she says, yes, there is. He said, this must be it then. Is he wrapped in swaddling clothes? Yes, he is. Is he lying in a manger? Yes, he is. Oh, great. Boys, come on, let's go in and see him. Let's go. She said, hold on. They've travelled a long way. They're very tired. Come back in the morning. He says, not likely. We've walked all this way. left our sheep. The angel told us, no, we've got to see him. We've got to see him. We've got to see the king, the Messiah. And besides, we want to worship him. So she says, all right then, come in, but you be quiet. Don't you go in there making a lot of noise. So the shepherd boys came in and they saw the baby Yeshua and they worshipped him. They weren't there for very long, but they did what they had to do. And where was I? Snoring about 10 feet away, missing the whole thing. Because I'm always too busy and too tired. So, off the shepherds go. Esther goes back into the stable to settle herself down for the night. Not long after, no, really not long after. She didn't tell me exactly how long, but there was a great big light outside. She thought, hello, hello. The angel has turned up here now. Wouldn't be too big a surprise. So she went outside and it was very bright. And she looked up and she couldn't see where the light was coming from to start off with. And then she realised it was coming from overhead, right above her. And it was like a beam of light coming down on the stable. Now, I tell you what, I wish I could have kept it. I tell you what, you can't get advertising like that, can you? Illuminate your hotel for nothing. I mean, yeah, I could have called it the Starshine Hotel. Or at least we had 1 star, didn't we? Anyway, yeah, 1-star hotel. Anyways, so out of the light, or really into the light, came camels. Camels. And men riding them. Princes. I mean, she'd never seen anything like it in her life. She'd never seen clothes like it. She'd never seen it. And there was all these other guys on donkeys and mules and other camels. And there was a proper entourage. And it was she said it must be a royal visit or something. I don't know. So these guys, they sent one of their minions into the stable. She didn't like to stand in his way. So the minion goes in and looks around, claps eyes on the baby, comes out and nods his head in here. So down they get. The camels sit down on the ground. The men get off, 3 of them. Esther swears that one of them said he was a king. I don't know about that, but they could have all been kings for all I know. But I didn't see them. But they was all in their finery. And they get down and they come towards a stable. And then they go inside. And then Esther said, I saw something that blew my mind. She said, these princes got down on their knees in the stable with all their silks and all their furs and all their jewels and all their finery. They got down in in the stable on their knees. And they kind of walked on their knees up to the manger. And they were saying things to each other, mumbling and saying things about this baby. And it was then that Esther realised that this little boy was very, very special indeed. Very special. The wise men made a signal, and one of their minions brought in a chest off one of the donkeys. And they opened it up, and out they got, it was like, they got out this treasure, Esther said. It was like sparkling and smelling and glittering and golden and, it's just, cool. And they just gave it all, we put it all by the manger. as gifts for the little one. If it had been my missus, she would have bought nappies and all that. But they bought gold and frankincense, myrrh. And they worshipped him. They bowed down and they worshipped him. And then they got up and they went on their way. They'd done what they came to do. Well, don't think any more people turned up that night. But in the morning, when we got up, I was just putting the stuff ready for breakfast for all the guests, you know. I was putting it all ready. And then Esty comes bursting in the door. She says, "You'll never guess what happened. You'll never guess what happened." I says, "Well, what?" She said, and she started telling the story. I thought she'd had a bad dream or a good dream or something. I never heard anything like it. I said, "Slow down, will you? Slow down." She told me all the things that had happened. The angels and the shepherds and the kings and the donkeys and the camels and the treasure. And I says, "Let me see. This is really going to put the inn on the map." You know, I ran out there, opened a stable door, and it was empty. They'd gone. They'd gone. They'd gone to register, and I don't know where they went from there. I just don't know. But one thing I do know, I never saw any of it. Not involved. Too busy. You know, years later, this guy turns up at our door. A chap by the name of Luke. He said he was writing a book about it all, you know. He said, "I'm writing a book." So he said, "I need the details." So, well, what could I tell him? I said, "You better talk to Esty." So I got Esty out. Of course, she was able to tell him all the details, but not me, sadly. And guess what? I'm not in the book. I'm not in the book. I know you think I'm in the book, but I'm not. You have a look. I'm not there. Talks about the inn, but don't talk about me. Not surprised, really, because what could I tell him? What could I tell him? Didn't make it. Luke told me all the things that Jesus had done, and we'd heard the stories, you know, for years after. We'd heard about, you know, telling great tales and giving people great advice and healing people and even raising the dead. I don't know, I didn't believe much of it, to be honest with you. But when Luke came, he told me that Yeshua himself had been raised from the dead, and guess what? I believed him because he was a doctor. Yeah, he was a doctor. He cured my lumbago while he was there. Oh yeah. But he didn't put me in the book. I think I would have put me in the book. Not because I want some publicity when you think like that, but I think I would have put me in the book to show people how stupid you can be. You can be too busy to notice. Too busy to see what's going on right under your nose. Too busy, too tired with your busyness, whatever it is, to get involved. So that would be my advice to you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't. Make time for what's really important, or you might miss the very most important thing that ever happens in your life. The world changed from my stable, and I didn't didn't know nothing about it. That's me.